So this is the Sun, a news UK company, not a UK news company, a news UK company. Under the fabulous section, for real, for with an E. What is the Foreskin facial? Why does Kate Beckinsale like it? And how is the serum made? A treatment made with foreskin. Whatever next for the stars. This is by Owen Benjamin, November 27, 2018. A-listers are always on the hunt for the secret to eternal youth, and Kate Beckinsale is the latest celeb to swear by foreskin facials. The quirky beauty treatment doesn't sound like it's for the faint-hearted, but what exactly is it? My God, what could it be? What is the foreskin facial? The facial involves inserting a serum made from the discarded foreskins of South Korean infants. The discarded foreskins of South Korean infants. They are not circumcised specifically for this procedure. It is simply a common procedure for South Korean youths. Yeah, for South Korean youths. The therapist will use a pen containing hundreds of tiny needles to inject it into your face. The small needles help the face serum really sink in and work its magic. Fucking hell. Can we get rid of this? Go away. How is the serum made? The face cream produced contains proteins which are taken from cells responsible for generating connective tissue of circumcised baby boys. Baby boys. It produces fibers such as collagen, which is cloned in the lab. Why does Kate Beckinsale like it? It is meant to generate collagen and elastin, which helps you look radiant, provided you can get over the fact you're rubbing penis into your skin and the fact it smells like sperm. You are rubbing penis into your skin. She recently posted a selfie with the caption, "After a long flight, I do like to lay down and be covered in a mask of liquefied cloned foreskins. Frankly, who doesn't?" Thanking her facialist, Georgia Lewis, she added, "I especially liked you reassuring me it would be light on penis, as it was my first time." Who else undergoes the treatment? That's not English. Kate Blanchett was the first celebrity to admit to having the facial. The star said, "Sandy Bullock and I saw this facialist in New York, Georgia Lewis, and she gave what we call the penis facial, and it's something. I don't know what it is, or whether it's just because it smells a bit like sperm. There's some enzyme in it, so Sandy refers to it as the penis facial. Great. I'm so glad we have Kate Blanchett to tell us this. This treatment may sound pretty out there, no fucking shit, but the stem cells from baby foreskins has been used for a long time by doctors in skin grafts to help burn victims. It's okay because we've been doing it for years now. Foreskin fibroblasts are used to grow new cells because they contain a growth hormone and because they have come from babies. The cells are more impressionable and free of toxins, according to Boston Magazine and Vice. Thank God for Vice. Boston Magazine also comments that this treatment has been going for a while now. It's just that celebrities are now speaking about it. If you are hoping to give it a go yourself, you might need to save up, as at $650 a go, you certainly will be paying the price for beauty. Yeah, you will be paying the price for beauty, not those Asian, South Korean babies. They are not paying anything. It's you who are paying. My God. So let's see what Vice has to say about the issue. Beauty industry part of foreskin flesh trade. Anti-circumcision activists warn. Intactivists claim the cosmetic use of neonatal foreskins is fueling a tissue-scale underworld, with hospitals and governments in on the act. Do they have a point? Or is this trend no more than skin deep? From snail mucus to bee venom, cosmetic blah blah blah, I don't care. A few weeks ago, Kate Blanchett, we've heard about her again. Blanchett was referring to the same woman again that cost blah blah blah. A UK company called Valvetta is hoping to rival the billion-dollar Botox industry through neonatal foreskin fibroblast injections. That's a mouthful. While Hydra Facial is another company loading the auspicious anti-aging ingredient. As far back as 2013, Oprah inspired headlines after promoting a product from the brand Skin Medica developed with these cells. Putting a baby's foreskin on your face might sound more suited to a satanic ritual, but here's how it works. Okay, it might sound satanic, but not here how it's not satanic. Here's how it works. So, are we just acknowledging the fact that it's satanic? Or do we just... What is going on? See, this is the reason why Owen Benjamin is currently losing his mind. Owen Benjamin is a decent guy who became a famous comedian and found himself in Hollywood with these people. And when he found out that these people inject baby foreskin into their face, he spoke out about it. He did what most decent guys would have done. And they, of course, rejected him and threw him out. Threw him out of business, out of Twitter, out of everything. And now Owen Benjamin is sitting in the woods somewhere in Northern California, I think, and he's descending into madness because he did not expect to find that this kind of shit is actually real. So now he is unable to tell what is true and what is fiction, and what is in his mind and what is just nonsense. So Owen Benjamin is actually claiming that Jordan Peterson is himself satanic and a closeted homosexual who is wearing lobster suits while engaging in homosexual acts with Dave Rubin. That is the state in which Owen Benjamin is currently, and it's only getting worse. But can you actually blame him when this is the type of person who was his colleague up until a year ago? I certainly can't. Anyway, let's see how it works, I guess. Kind of like the human flesh version of yogurt. A fibroblast is a piece of skin that is used as a culture to grow other skin cells. Baby foreskins are the golden standard. Firstly, they're young. Yes, they are babies, meaning they are unadulterated and untouched until you cut the skin off of the baby's penis. They are they are adulterated because you cut them off of the fucking penis. But yeah, they are unadulterated by free radicals. They are only adulterated by a knife. Sometimes a rabbi's mouth too. And environmental toxins. Plus they are impressionable because their identifying proteins haven't fully developed. They have many applications. In a medical setting, they are used for growing skin for burn victims and diabetes with ulcers, as well as in eyelid replacement and skin graft surgeries. Baby foreskins have been of interest to doctors since the 19th century. Dr. Piers Charles Remondino wrote in 1891 text, The History of Whatever. Jesus Christ. Stem cells are pretty common in the industry, but they're usually derived from plants, not penises. No fucking way. Is there any proof that foreskin fibroblasts leave your skin looking as fresh as baby's bottom? I am highly skeptical. I have not seen any evidence in a peer-reviewed medical publication supporting of this claim. The dermatologist and University of Sydney lecturer Dr. Deshan Sebaratnam tells Vice. Can we fund this study, god damn it? Can we please get results on whether or not baby foreskin leaves your skin looking like a fresh baby's bottom? Can we get the results on that ASAP? Despite this, some say the hype has contributed to an increasing market demand for foreskins, their commodification, and in turn a whole host of ethical transgressions. Anti-circumcision advocates, some of whom, it's worth noting, have come under fire for comparing male circumcision to female genital mutilation, their MRA affiliations, and misinformation, are particularly charged about the issue of foreskin used in products, arguing that neonatal circumcision is a violation of a child's right, as they are too young to consent to the procedure. Well, holy fucking hell, somebody get why this is wrong. Somebody gets it. But wait a minute. These people have come under fire for comparing male genital mutilation to female genital mutilation. And their MRA affiliations. What? Anti-circumcision advocates are affiliated to men's rights advocates?
That's amazing.
And misinformation, right? Because pro-circumcision advocates are nothing but truthful. This is great. Imagine having to put all of this garbage in front of the argument that baby boys cannot consent to cutting off a piece of their penis. Just think about this. This is vice. In their eyes, profiting from this is doubly reprehensible. Once amputated, the foreskin can never be regrown. Circumcision leaves a profound scar that is anything but superficial, says Dr. Chris Cogran, an anti-circumcision advocate, tells Vice. Says, tells. Great writing. Another anti-circumcision activist, pediatrician Paul M. Fleece, writes in What Your Doctor May Not Tell You About Circumcision that a single baby foreskin contains enough genetic material to grow over 23,000 square meters of skin, or hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of fibroblasts. This is an anti-circumcision activist? Okay. What does it matter how many meters of skin can a baby foreskin grow? It doesn't matter. It's a nonsense point, a mute point. In Vitro Technologies, a company based in Australia, sell neonatal foreskin fibroblasts online. Blah blah blah, we make money off of baby foreskins. Babel.com, a parenting magazine and a blog network, reports that instead of being discarded with the rest of the medical waste after birth, some hospitals sell foreskins to third parties, and that companies will pay thousands of dollars for a single foreskin. However, this information isn't available to the public. Dr. Mary Walker, a research fellow in philosophy at Monash University, who has an interest in bioethics and health policy, hasn't heard of any hospitals in Australia selling foreskins. She says that in Australia it's illegal to trade in human tissue, although it is legal to sell products derived from human tissue. Some have argued that tissue may be donated, though not sold, and this is consistent with thinking that the donor could retain some rights over what the tissue is used for post-donation, she says. Let me suggest to Dr. Mary Walker the following research question, philosophy research question: how the hell does a baby donate his foreskin? Please answer me that, Mary Walker, with the interest in bioethics. Fucking hell. Either way, she says, having profits returned to the parent, circumcised child, or the doctor who removed the foreskin would contravene the Human Tissue Act, as if the issue of non-compensation is even relevant. The National Health and Medical Research Council is currently reviewing and updating its guidelines surrounding the sale of organs and tissues, she tells Vice. Circumcision rates have dropped in the Western world. Current Australian public policy suggests that despite its overall safety, there is no medical reason for circumcision in newborns, because there isn't. Religious and cultural reasons are now key drivers, and it's estimated 32% of Australian men under 30 are circumcised. That is a relatively good number. Relatively. Parallel to this downward trend is an increasing biotechnological interest in foreskins, which according to anti-circumcision activists is keeping the practice alive. The use of newborn baby foreskin cells in biotechnology for various purposes, not all of them cosmetic, has been a driver for male circumcision since the early 90s. Dr. Cogran, the anti-circumcision advocate, tells Vice. Dr. Cogran believes this Western demand could even be encouraging circumcision policies in developing countries. Although the World Health Organization states that circumcision reduces the risk of heterosexually acquiring AIDS infection in men by approximately 60%. Because using a condom is too hard, maybe in developing countries, I guess. This demand may be of relevance, for example, in deciphering the Kenyan government's recent proposal to shift its anti-HIV strategy from voluntary to mandatory infant male circumcision, he says. Right. Yeah, great. A 2011 article published on South African news site Times Life echoed concerns that African baby foreskins could potentially be sold to the global cosmetic industry instead of being incinerated as per the country's legal requirement. Africa may be viewed as the new source of discarded virgin foreskins to sustain a multi-million-dollar industry. Discarded human foreskins are used in the cosmetic industry in the manufacture of insulin and artificial skin, the Medical Rights Advocacy Network wrote in a letter at the time to the Department of Health. If private companies are profiting from baby foreskins, who receives the proceeds? No, it doesn't matter who receives the proceeds, because the fucking private companies shouldn't even have possession of baby foreskins in the first place, because the babies should have their foreskins intact, because they are babies who cannot consent. George Denniston, an American physician and anti-circumcision advocate who founded Doctors Opposing Circumcision, says profits aren't seen by parents or their sons, as if $400 would be enough compensation to getting your dick cut. Certainly none of the boys whose foreskins are being harvested for commercial exploitation receive any share in the profits generated by their unwitting contribution. We have yet to ask whether our most basic birthright should become a source of corporate income. It shouldn't. He writes in Male and Female Circumcisions, Medical, Legal and Ethical Considerations in Private Practice. The use of foreskin fibroblasts is part of a more complex debate than the lightweight headlines about penis facials let on. For the likes of Dr. Coghran, the commercialization of male circumcision is a much larger story than skincare product X. It involves billions of dollars of public and private investment on a transnational intergovernmental scale. But while the anti-activist movement undoubtedly purports an agenda to end circumcision entirely, let alone any industry around it, legal and ethical ambiguities around harvesting for cosmetic use exist either way. Ambiguities. So at the end, this article didn't even dare to answer the fucking question. Probably because nobody cares. Nobody cares when it comes to men. Of course, when it comes to females, there's different story entirely. And the rabbit hole goes deeper. And this is important, see, because in order for Kate Beckinsale to be able to inject baby skin penis skin into her face, a lot of things have to happen before. There's a lot of foundation that needs to be built before she can go and do that kind of stuff. So there needs to be a ethical, moral, legal and cultural foundation that enables that kind of stuff. Because otherwise, where would Kate Beckinsale even get foreskins from? And as we've seen from Vice, this article in the Huffington Post is part of this foundation. And the Huffington Post wants you to know that male circumcision is definitely not mutilation. Undoubtedly not mutilation. And this is Cheryl Saperia. She is a director of policy for Canada in the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Yeah. She will expand the FDD's national security work among Canadian policymakers, media, and allied organizations. Based in Ottawa, she joins an international team of professionals working out of Washington, D.C. and various other places. Cheryl has a master's in comparative politics, a law degree, and a bullshit Bachelor of Arts. Cheryl is one of the people we may call a big-brained individual. She is so well educated that she could basically rationalize anything. But she is also a Jewish woman, which means she really cares about women and she's really loyal to her religion. And all of this culminates in this article, which may as well have been written by a machine. It is so predictable. Let's get into it. A regional court in Cologne, Germany, has effectively banned the circumcision of young boys, as it should, subject only to medical exception. Such a position has been proposed by various individuals and groups throughout the Western world, and can be refuted along several lines. Yep, this is the big brain part. For instance, neither the right to security of person nor to gender equality should operate in such a way as to prescribe male circumcision on the grounds that it is comparable to the justifiably prohibited custom of female genital mutilation. Right, so who in the hell says that we need to ban circumcision on the grounds of gender equality? That is ridiculous and idiotic. And second of all, yes, the right to security of person is comparable in the case of circumcision to female genital mutilation, because in both cases we are mutilating the genital of a non-consenting minor. Security of the person is a basic entitlement guaranteed by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights adopted by the United Nations in 1948. It is also protected by the Constitution of Canada. The Supreme Court found that the inability of women to get abortion is a breach of their security of person by threatening their health. Right, so if a woman is incapable of getting an abortion, it is a breach of her security of person. But if you cut off a baby's penis, it somehow isn't. Is that the argument here? FGM is sometimes termed female circumcision, but it is a misnomer as it implies a minor operation equivalent to male circumcision. According to Dorian Coleman, a Duke University law professor whose expertise is children and law, this analogy can and has been rejected as specious and disingenuous as the traditional forms of FGM are as different from male circumcision in terms of procedure, physical ramifications, and motivation as ear piercing is to a penilectomy. I wonder if Dorian will object to having her clitoris pierced at the age of 8 days old. Or is it only equivalent when you want it to be? The World Health Organization is also clear that male genital mutilation has no health benefits, and it harms boys and men in many ways. It involves removing and damaging healthy and normal male genital tissue, and interferes with the natural functions of boys' and men's bodies. Oh wait. Oh, I misread that. Oops. Never mind. The immediate and long-term consequences of FGM are too numerous to catalog here, but include severe pain, shock, hemorrhage, which can be so severe as to cause death, tetanus or sepsis, infertility, and an increased risk of childbirth in complications and newborn deaths. In 1997, a joint statement by the WHO, UNICEF, and UNFPA declared FGM to be universally unacceptable, as it is an infringement on the physical and psychological integrity of women and girls and is a form of violence against them. All of this is applicable to circumcision, directly applicable to circumcision. Oh, but the long-term consequences are not even close. Yeah, doesn't really matter. You're still cutting off a piece of the boy's penis. The severity of the consequences is hardly a factor here. What then does the WHO have to say about male circumcision? That it is one of the oldest and most common surgical procedures worldwide, and is undertaken for many reasons: religious, cultural, social, and medical. There is conclusive evidence from observational data and 3 randomized controlled trials that circumcised men have a significantly lower risk of becoming infected with the human immunodeficiency virus, HIV. Right, so FGM is also one of the oldest and most common surgical procedures worldwide, and is undertaken for religious, cultural, and social reasons. Does that matter, or do we only care when it's females? We only care when it's violence against women and girls, right? And also, this argument that circumcision prevents AIDS. You know what prevents AIDS? Condoms. Use a condom. And also have sex with people you know and trust, as opposed to random strangers. If you do those 2 things, the risk of AIDS is practically non-existent. Like, how is this an argument again in favor of circumcision? Hey guys, let's cut off your penis because it prevents some negligible, it helps in circumventing some negligible risk of AIDS. How about no? Like, even in developing countries, this argument doesn't work. You don't solve the AIDS epidemic in Africa by cutting off everybody's penis. You solve it by educating them and providing contraceptions. You dumb idiots. Dr. Kirsten Patrick acknowledges in her 2007 British Medical Journal article that while male circumcision carries a complication rate somewhere between 0.2 and 3%, the procedure carries little risk if capably performed. Right. Can we acknowledge that female genital mutilation carries little risk if capably performed? No, we can't do that, because it's violence against women. But 3% complication rate for circumcising boys, that's not violence against them. No, that's just, who cares? She also notes its health benefits and draws a comparison to standard childhood immunizations. A procedure for which the infant cannot give consent and which carries the risk of adverse events ranging from fever to anaphylaxis and aseptic meningitis. Right, except immunizations prevent actual diseases. Circumcision doesn't prevent anything. Just what? How low do you have to go to compare immunizing your kid against smallpox? Do you even know how terrible some of these diseases are? And no, we need to circumcise boys in the small chance that they'll have sex with a HIV positive female 18 years in the future. We need to do this now for the remote possibility in the distant future that something bad will happen this is somehow comparable to childhood immunizations. Just nonsense. Absolute ridiculous nonsense. So I just wanted to come back to this and add the comparison between the barbaric act of circumcision and the life-saving vaccines is just so beyond the pale. It's out of this world. So the comparison is skews so much in favor of vaccines that it's not even, it's not, it turns into funny and then not funny because it's too fucking much, and then it's funny again because it's insane. So first of all, comparing circumcision to an injection is like comparing chemical castration to chopping off your dick and balls. Right? It's like comparing death by guillotine to death by fatal injection. There's a difference in barbarism that I think in the West we've decided is cruel and unjustifiable, right? And second of all, vaccines first of all, they eradicated several of the most horrible diseases known to man. They save millions of untold lives every year. Circumcision doesn't save anybody. It doesn't help nothing. Even in the developed world, if you circumcise everybody and they somehow magically get, what is it? Significantly, what was it, 60% less chance to become infected with HIV? You still get infected 40% of the time. So even there, where it's kind of a big deal, it should not be part of a comprehensive solution to fight HIV. Under no circumstances. Condoms. Use fucking condoms. Okay? So yeah, that was, this argument is just so insane. I was just baffled. In the absence of strong and non-conflicting medical evidence that male circumcision regularly causes substantial harm to boys, 3%, the arguments against the procedure are severely weakened. Since male circumcision and FGM are simply incomparable, gender equality nobody cares about gender equality in this regard. This is a nonsense argument. Should not demand the banning of the former just because the latter is illegal. No, it shouldn't. There are other reasons to ban it, not gender equal reasons. While the right to security of the person is certainly implicated by circumcision, the low risk of harm and the fact that most complications are extremely minor means that the right should be balanced against other compelling rights, such as religious freedom. The religious freedom of whom? Of the parents? Should we balance the religious freedom of the parents against the religious freedom and the freedom from religion of the infant? Yeah, let's do that. Balance those two, and then add to that the right to bodily integrity, and it's pretty clear which side outweighs the other. It is well known that the circumcision of baby boys is mandated by the Jewish religion. In fact, the ritual is so essential to Jewish peoplehood and covenantal identity that a former professor of mine, specializing in minority rights, once suggested that preventing Jews from circumcising their sons could amount to genocide. Again, preventing Jews from circumcising their sons could amount to genocide. This is why I have this picture on the right. It is absolutely insane statement to put this in writing and to have an editor go over this, and that people would read this and not flip out about this ridiculous, what are you even saying here? If you oppose circumcision, you're a genocidal, anti-Semite Nazi. That is the argument. Oh my God. Such an argument elicits particular discomfort given that a German court has outlawed the procedure. Ooh, the Germans are coming for you. Male circumcision within the first few years of boys' life is also strongly encouraged by the Islamic faith. You're also Islamophobe. Perhaps the only positive outcome of the German ruling is that Jews, Muslims, and even Christians, those goddamn Christians, have united to protest the profound infringement on their religious freedom. They were not alone. Some other idiots chimed in. What is this? Why would I care about this idiot and that idiot? Who gives a shit? And yeah, the banning of circumcision is a profound infringement on religious freedom, but the cutting off of your penis at 8 days old is minor and should really be balanced against other compelling rights. It's not that much of a bigger deal, you know. By the way, if you don't allow women abortion, it is a serious and very, very dangerous thing, and definitely breaches the woman's security of person. But if it's a boy, who cares? We need to balance. There's other things to consider, like Jews and Muslims and whatever, even some Christians. I don't know. This is kind of, you might need to sacrifice your penis for this. According to the German court, the right to religious freedom would not be unduly impaired, which is exactly correct, because the child could later decide for himself whether to have the circumcision. Aside from the court's interference with the religious precept that the ritual must take place long before adulthood, the judgment could ironically cause greater harm to one's bodily integrity, because circumcision for adolescents and adults, as compared to infants, is more complicated and has a higher rate of adverse effects. So just don't do it. Just give it up altogether. There is no reason to cut off parts of your penis. Just don't do it. And yeah, it does not unduly impair your insane religious freedom. Here in Canada, a court could evaluate the right to security of the person as provided by Section 7 of the Charter, not only in the context of Section 2A of the Charter, which guarantees freedom of religion, but also Section 27, which provides that the Charter shall be interpreted in a manner consistent with the preservation and enhancement of multicultural heritage of Canadians. Right. Should we also interpret female genital mutilation in a manner consistent with the preservation and enhancement of multicultural heritage of Canadians? Or should we only do that when it's convenient to you? Should we also interpret abortion in a manner consistent with the preservation and enhancement of the multicultural heritage of Christian Canadians? Or would that be, I'm sure you wouldn't object to that. I'm sure there's no issue with that. Oh, but that already happened and the Supreme Court already ruled on that. And they didn't seem to care about multiculturalism then, did they? This is a Jewish woman. Indeed, the German ruling makes for a compelling argument in favor of Canada's multiculturalism policies. It actually makes a compelling argument of revoking those policies, which are essentially grounded in the notion that individual rights are not always enough to protect a minority's group traditions and values, and that the recognition of special group rights is therefore necessary. Collectivism is necessary, comrade. Individual rights are not always enough to protect a minority group's rights to cut off their babies' penises. Yeah, that is the point. That is exactly the point of individual rights, is to prevent from harm to come to individuals based on religious dogma and barbaric practices. In other words, failing to recognize the fundamental importance of male circumcision to both Jewish and Muslim religious traditions may be qualitatively different than undermining an individual parent's right to make choices on behalf of his/her child. Special group rights are more important than individual rights. Brought to you by the Department of Truth. Of course, the protection of minority rights must have limits. Inherently harmful minority customs like circumcision and honor killings can never be justified. But male circumcision does not belong in that category, so long as I say so. So long as both parents consent to the procedure and, most importantly, it is performed competently. Yeah. It is only you who decides where the limit is, isn't it? This is the epitome of relative morality. It is, I am a Jew and therefore I am for circumcision. I am not a Muslim and therefore I am against female genital mutilation and honor killings. Under what grounds would you be able to tell a Muslim or whatever, whoever supports this kind of shit, that they're wrong? Multicultural policies, when instituted according to what I say, can enhance the society's security by making minority groups feel welcome and accepted, rather than disenfranchised and disconnected from the state. Yes, lines must be drawn somewhere, but there are insufficient medical, legal, and moral grounds to draw that line at male circumcision. Just moral relativism. Just I say so so therefore it is. And there you have it. This is what you get when you instantiate moral relativism into the law. You are now obligated to preserve and enhance these people's heritage. And so you are unable to denounce circumcision or female genital mutilation or honor killing. You have no grounds on which you can ban these things or even morally condemn them, because they're part of the heritage of Canadians. And so you have these highly educated intellectuals constructing arguments that fundamentally do not make sense. They are built on the false premise that the individual right of security of person and bodily integrity of the baby somehow is less important than the parents' religious freedom. And on top of that, they will fucking tell you that it's less important than the special group rights of some religious minority. There's no such thing as a special group rights in a liberal democracy. This is a political science master telling you that. There's no such thing. It's a made-up term. It's bullshit. And the individual rights of the baby to bodily integrity always, forever trumps some stupid fucking religious freedom to barbaric practices. Always. And I'll bet you my foreskin that this woman will never in a million years recognize the special group rights of a Christian doctor to refuse an abortion on a woman. So there's a double standard and a cognitive dissonance within these people's heads. And this is the Huffington Post and Cheryl Separia providing, this is 2012, right? Providing just another part of the ethical foundation supported by the legal foundation, the moral foundation, cultural foundation, all culminating in a culture of, we just cut off babies' penises, it's no big deal. So then hospitals end up with piles of foreskins and they don't know what to do with them. And they end up performing research on them. And stem cell research, yeah, we're gonna cure cancer. No, we're gonna sell them to fucking corporations. And the corporations are going to create skincare products out of the foreskins, and that ends up in a shitty salon somewhere in New York City, where once a week Kate Beckinsale come in, pays $650 and gets her prescribed dosage of baby dick skin injected into her face.